Welcome everyone. Good evening. So we will continue from where we stopped yesterday. So in this live stream, I'm going to teach you about conditional statements and loops. So this is something we did not cover in the last live stream, right? So we will see what the conditional statements are and what are loops. So we'll learn about if else if conditions, and we'll also learn about for loop, while loop. So these things we will learn. Okay, so if you have questions, please let me know in the message box, and if you want me to cover any particular topic, please let me know. I will also cover that topic. Okay, we'll start, but please like the stream. If you are live, please like the stream so that it will reach to more and more people. um, all right, this is our fourth live stream on R programming, and this is for beginners in R programming. If you are more, you're already familiar with R programming, probably this may not interest you a lot, but certainly it will be useful to you for a beginner. Okay, so before I start the session, I like to start with a bit of a bit of an introduction about yeah, so the kind of jobs that you can get after learning R programming. You can get jobs in e-commerce company as a data analyst. You can work for banks as data analyst, as a quant, as a risk modeler, as a data scientist. You can also find jobs in research establishments, market research, retail, I mean, you name it, right? In almost all industry you can find jobs. You can also find jobs in consulting firms such as TCS, Infosys, Ernst and Young, Deloitte, even top consulting firms like McKinsey, Bain, so such companies. Okay, so it's a very useful skill. If you are learning it, then I would suggest please learn it very seriously, and please also ask your friends and family members who are actually learning. Well, maybe they are studying now or they are into another career. Just ask them to learn R. It's very useful. Those who are familiar with Excel will find R very interesting, because Excel is a tool that is used for data analysis, for storing data, for analyzing data, but it has a lot of limitations, right? It cannot store a lot of data like big data, a large volume of data that it cannot store, and then there are very limited functionality when it comes to analyzing data in Excel. But in R you have like lots of functionalities or lots of packages. You can do almost everything with the data using R, and also the storage capacity is much better in R compared to in Excel. And the most important thing is that reproducibility. That means you can reproduce your results. So if you write your script now, you save it, you can send it to someone else, and that person can reproduce your result. Unlike in Excel where you cannot reproduce your results. Well, if you write VBA code, that's different, but otherwise, reproducing the same script, same code is practically impossible in tools like Excel. So that's why you should learn R, and it's very very important in the present era, because there is a gamut of data out there, and everybody needs analysts to analyze data. All right, so today we will learn about conditional statement. Okay, so we will learn about conditional statement, and conditional statements are basically if one condition satisfies, uh, we should do something, and if the other condition satisfy, we should do something else. So that's basically conditional statement, right? So in our day-to-day language also we use conditional statements a lot. For example, I may say, okay, if you want to go to Delhi, then you should take a flight. If you want to go to Chennai, you should take a train, right? So it's like, if the first condition satisfied, what should be done? It's as simple as that. Okay, so we'll take a very simple example. So let's say x equal to 10. We assign a variable x with a value of 10. we define this variable x with the value of 10, and then we'll check if this, we'll use a very basic conditional statement. Okay? And the very basic conditional statement is if. So if x is greater than 10, then in curly bracket I want to print print, and in print you give some sort of a message. Okay. Okay, something like, okay, x is greater than, sorry, greater than 10. Okay, it's a very simple conditional statement. So now we know that x is 10, it's not greater than 10, right? So we know what will be printed here. But the thing is that this is the first condition. If x is greater than 10, then print this one. What if x is otherwise? What you do that? Just else. Okay, and then, sorry, no, what's going on? No. Let me copy. I'll have to copy. Else simple, x is not greater than 10, something like that we'll write. Okay, x is not greater than 10. Okay, in very simple, so very simple syntax. Okay, so it says that x is not greater than 10. That means based on the condition you will get the message. If x is greater than 10, then what it prints is that x is greater than 10, otherwise x is less than 10, or not greater than 10, right? So that's what it is printing. So it's basically condition, if else, sometime else if I have more than one condition, then else if. We'll see all this. Okay, and then let's change the value of x, right? X is equal to, let's say, 12, right? Sorry, yeah, it's fine. Okay, then let's run this. So now x is 12. So what we get is the first message, not the second message. Last time around we got this message, right? We got this message, but this time we got the first message that x is greater than 10. Why? Because now we have x equal to 12, right? So this condition is satisfied, and that's what we get then, x is greater than 10. So it's that easy, right? Just use of if and else, and you can use that for a number of things, right? And not just one condition, but for multiple conditions. You can use that in writing functions, in writing loops and other things, but we will get to more complicated stuff, but let's try to very simple stuff. Okay, so okay, so slightly change in the syntax. So we say, okay, if x okay, just a moment, I'm just thinking what example will be suitable. Okay, if x is greater than 10, in curly bracket just write, okay, print, okay, maybe the students percentage, like, okay, if someone scored greater than 60, then it's first class, right? So we will print something like that. Okay, sorry, first class. Okay, then else if if x is greater than 45 but less than x lies between something like, okay, 35, something like that, sorry, yeah, less than 60 maybe, yeah, that's right. then we will say it is what am I doing? Okay, let me try once again. Okay, let me, this is problem actually, it's best that we write a new script. That's something best, right? If x is greater than 60, then print first class, else if x is, so basically x is in between 60 and 45, then it's second class, right? 45, then in curly bracket just write print. Okay, maybe we can do this something like this. Okay, sorry, maybe, yeah, just think about the style is also important sometimes, although it doesn't affect the output. But what am I doing? This should be and it should be second class. Okay, else print third class. That means, so we like to know actually if the student has scored like greater than 60, then he's first class, so we'll print that. Else if his score is between 60 to 45, greater than 45 but less than 60, then he has scored second class. Otherwise, okay, maybe this is equal to, okay, otherwise third class. That means anything less than 45 is third class. Well, I'm assuming there's no failing system, everyone is able to score 30 above 30 marks, so it's fine. Okay, and then, okay, so let's maybe, okay, let's run this. Yeah, a lot of issues, I'm not surprised. So there is a lot of issues with the syntax. So let's correct the syntax first. Let's see if it's fine. Else is also fine. Oh, this is a problem. This should be in this thing. There's still issues. Okay, great. No, there's no issue. There's no issue, right? Let me compile again. Okay. Control R, right? No, there are issues. There are issues. And secondly, you have to think about this. Just give me a moment. That's the reason why it is causing issues. I'm just taking some time to refactor the code. It should be fine in a moment. Alright, this is great. Now it should be fine. Okay. Again, some issues with respect to the syntax. Okay, let me figure it out. Ooh. This is okay, this is fine, second class is fine. We haven't defined x, that's the problem. No. Some places where I've used capital X, that's my bad. I was thinking something is wrong. That's not true. Something is wrong. It's just that I have messed up something. Now it is fine. So we hadn't actually defined x, that's the problem anyway, because there was a capital X and it didn't recognize capital X. Anyway, so let's say x is 65, right? So if x is 65, and let's run this particular code. If we run this, what it says is first class, because it's greater than 60, so it's first class. How about x equal to, let's say 50, second class, because it lies between 45 to 60, so it's second class. How about x is equal to 34, then must be third class, right? Yeah, third class, right? So here you see that it's just a okay. Let me explain this code. Okay, simple code. If x is greater than 60, greater than equal to 60, then print first class. So how you write it? Give bracket, then in curly bracket you write print, and then you start first class, and then else if. So if is the keyword here, else if is also a keyword here. Okay, Print is also keyword. Keyword means it's something our software understands, right? So it's not something that we have given, right? Like x is something that we have given. X is just anything, right? In place of x, you can simply run a score. Okay, that's also fine, right? If we just change it, let's say score or marks, that's also fine. Okay, so let me define something like, okay, score is equal to 49. Okay, and let me run this entire code, and what it says that the score is second class because it lies between 45 and 50, right? So it's if, else if, and then else. The final statement should be else. Else means if everything, all the conditions fails, what exactly should be printed, right? So that's basically else. Okay, so maybe you can think about other such conditional statements where, here you see score is greater than 60, print first class. Else if score is between 45 to 60, then second class, else third class. So last is always else. In between whatever you read, it should be else if, else if I were to introduce another condition in between, then it would have been else if again. Okay, so that's the logic. Yeah, all right. So that's conditional statements. We'll maybe take another example. Okay, is it good to take another example, or should we move to something more interesting? What's the time now? How much time have we spent already? Yeah, well, we have already spent 21 minutes, so I have 15 minutes to go. So I'm not going to take another example. Then I'll take some more topics today. Okay, maybe loop. So we have learned loops in brief, but let's learn a bit more about loops. Loops are like doing something repeatedly, right? Iteratively. So that's as simple as that. So like let's write about something like for loop. Okay, there are two types of loops we will learn today. One is for loop, the other one is while loop. Okay, so let's first learn about for loop. Okay, for, and then you start bracket. You start with any variable and can give any variable, just x, y, z, I, j, but normally people use I, so I'll also use I in 1 to 20. Means we will like to iterate a variable called I 20 times. That means that will repeat, we'll do something 20 times. Okay, and then we'll just print I. That means what I will do is that I will take value from 1 to 20 and into iterate for 20 times. Okay, so if I run it, oh, there's some issues again. What exactly is the issue? Okay, why is it an issue? Oh, okay, maybe is it the syntax? No, I don't think so. Yeah, that was the case. R is case sensitive. That means what matters is whether you use capital letter or small letter. Sometimes that is very frustrating. So now it is running. That means we wanted to print I 20 times, but the values differs, right? Starts with 1 and repeats to 20. So that's very basic example of so when I am pressing Ctrl L, by the way, the screen becomes everything is removed from the screen. It is cleaned. So that's what you can do. Ctrl L, just press Ctrl L. Okay, we'll do something else in our loop, right? There's a very simple thing. In fact, I've taken that example in one of the other live stream also, but let's see if I can do something one more example we'll take. Okay, maybe we'll take a vector, something like, okay, names. Okay, we'll take a bit more complicated one. Okay, so we'll create a vector names, so like Ram, Sam, Harry. Okay, so we create this one, Control R. So now name is created. What we'll do is that we'll use for loop. So let me copy this one. So as I said, this instead of I you can use any letter here, so it doesn't matter much. Okay, so we like to repeat this, but only in this particular thing. So I in names, because now it is a vector, so we can iterate through name. That means in name there are 3 names, right? And we would like to print I. That means now the names will be printed. Are you getting my point? Yeah. So now you see Ram, Sam, Hari is now printed. Okay. Can we do one thing? Maybe we will use loops and conditional statement together. So now we just studied conditional statements like if, else, else if. So let's use both. Can you do that? Yes, of course we can. If I equal to something like Harry, then print something like he's a nice guy, something like that. Okay, I'm sure there will be some mistake in the syntax. Is it so? No, right? Is printing, right? But we would like to also say else he is not. We'll also keep something here, else print is a bad guy, something like that. Okay, so basically what we're doing is that we're using both for loop as well as the conditional statement. So for loop is now, so I gave you a very simple example that it's used for iteration. That means doing the same thing again and again. So here we saw, right, printing something again and again with changing number. So here also we do that. We started with these 3 names, Ram, Sam and Harry, and we got a for loop which iterates through these 3 names, and then if I equal to Harry, that means I will take Ram first, and then it will match with this one, Harry. If it is matching, then it will print he is a nice guy. If it is not matching, that means it will go to else, he is not a nice guy, right? So that's what we will print. So the first time he will print he is not a nice guy, because Ram is not going to match with Harry, right? So that's what you see, he is a bad guy. That's what it prints. Second time it Sam, then it matches with Harry, it doesn't match, then you print oh, he's a bad guy. Harry, the moment you get Harry, and it will match here, right? This condition will be satisfied. So then the first statement will be printed, and that's what you see. The first two times he's a bad guy, and then third time it's a nice guy. So this is a good example, right? So you can take a few more examples to sort of understand how we can use both conditional statements and loops in order to do wonderful things. And you can also use function for that, right? I taught you functions like 2 days back. You can also learn make use of writing functions along with loops and conditional statements to do a lot of good things. So the most important thing is to do exercises. The moment you do exercises, you will learn more. Without that, learning is not that fast. So I highly recommend that you do a lot of exercises. So whatever things we have learned so far. So in the last 3 to 4 sessions, right, we've spent about 2 hours to learn the basics of like R programming, and we have learned quite a lot of things actually. So you can get started with practicing more now. From the next session I'll be going little more advanced, so I'll not cover the most basic. I'll assume that you know all these things, so better the practice. You can watch these 4 sessions again, they're on this channel, so you can always go back and watch, and then let me know if you have questions, and then I'll give you assignments to do. You can do the assignments and let me know if you have more questions. Okay, so next in the next session, what are we going to learn? Well, we'll learn about doing some statistical analysis in R. That's the most important thing. So we've learned about basic calculation, graphing, charting, using R to perform, to write loops and conditional statements, these things. But we haven't learned anything about how to perform like statistical analysis. But before that, I'll also teach maybe like one small session to how to import data from external sources such as CSV and Excel. So that's very interesting, because in the industry or in most places you will get data in Excel sheets. So you need to then import to your R session. So that's very important, and you should know how to do that. Once you know that, then you can create your own data frame and do analysis. So that's something we will learn next. Meantime, if you have questions, let me know. Statistical analysis is useful for people who know statistics a bit, but if you're not familiar with statistics, don't worry. I'll first go through the basic theory of statistics, and then we can learn the theory first, and then use R to do some sort of analysis. So we'll go slow by, so don't worry about the fact that you do not know much about statistics. That's something we will cover while we are also learning R. Okay. All right, and again, like all the time, I expect you to like this session. Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining in. See you tomorrow.